So, hello, good morning. Just want to talk about, I could talk about so many topics. We had the top events, of course, the race for the presidential election. Is that a good way of saying it? Yes. The presidential election in the US, Biden against Trump. Not Biden against Trump. Wow, I'm really getting Kamala Harris against Trump, which is a joke. You take a businessman who was the president once already, probably should have been the president, as he claims, and because let's admit it, there are a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud on the other side as well. When somebody claims to be lily white, it's a metaphor, not talking about being really actually white. When I don't have any sins, super suspect people who claim to be really good people without any problems, because what Biden did is far worse than Trump ever did. Trump didn't have a child that was actually hired by a Ukrainian company. I mean, come on, this must be against the regulations. He made a profit, tremendous profit, and of course it's against American interests, because you don't just hire a person from a member of your family, a son, to work for Ukraine when you are president of the USA and you have to deal with foreign powers. So of course it makes Putin a little bit angry, and you have to appease all these dictators, and he's not really good at that. And Kamala, wow, she's a laughingstock. I mean, that woman is a joke. And sadly, what really hurts me personally as a woman, I look white, but I'm not white according to the fascists, racists. I'm not white. Any Jewish person is not white. We are considered just like the Africans. A threat to the white racist supremacists. And Kamala is not really black. She's an Indian woman. Could have been, but she's not. She's speaking with an African-American accent. Now, where did she get an African-American accent? Okay, she went to university. I went to university in Jerusalem. I don't have a Jerusalem accent. They do speak a little bit different. I didn't pick up the Jerusalem mannerism because I was raised in a home by parents who's also didn't. I don't really copy their accents. So where do you get your accent from? Because I'm really an expert in that. I grew up in the US a few years, and then I picked up an American accent. When you're a child and you go to school, you pick up the accent from the kids around you, I guess. But why in the hell does Kamala have an African American accent? She wasn't raised in an African American neighborhood. Her cousins and family are either Indian or Caribbean accent. Oh, it's so beautiful, by the way. It's like the English, but it's a beautiful accent. She doesn't talk like Bob Marley, does she? She doesn't speak like Indian people. Not at all. The other thing about Kamala Harris is I think she doesn't really have an identity, and the immigration thing is so important for her that she forgets that there's different types of immigrants. Like if you're not American like me, if you want to go and live in America now, you just feel like living in America, okay? A few months, years, whatever. You have to go through a very, very strict visa. I mean, I did. I'm Israeli. I'm an ally. I mean, Israel is the only ally of U.S. in the Middle East, the only stable ally. And yet I had to go, you don't know what I had to go through just because I spent 24 hours in New York on my way to a yoga retreat. That's not even in the U.S. It was just the closest way to get there. And actually it was in the Caribbean. Went to a yoga retreat, Shivananda yoga retreat, 24 hours. And I had to fill in so much paperwork. And I stood in line with Chinese and Albanian people because I was living at the time in Europe. I was a resident of Europe, though I didn't have European citizenship, which was a big mistake. Hindsight, but I didn't feel like identifying with the European country my ex-husband is from. So, yep, not so nice when you know them up close, are they, people of different nationalities? I mean, there's stereotypes in some countries are not really nice. And I didn't feel like getting a passport from a country that was powerful, but I didn't feel like it because he was such a nasty person. It was so nasty to me and so racist and so xenophobic. And in a DNA test revealed that they're actually mixed mutts. You know, they claim to be this royal family, but they're not, they're mixed. All the Europeans are mixed. There's no such thing as a European racist because they can't be racist because they're all mixed. I don't think they're pure British or French or German. I think they're all mixed more or less. Because why wouldn't they, right? The Jews didn't mix. And African people, well, we know what happened to them. So what I wanted to say is the following. On Kamala Harris issue, you can't compare the kind of people that get into the U.S. illegally. They have no obligations. It's like the people that come here, but the people that come to Israel, you can see Chinese, Eritrean, they're working. They don't have time to do crime because they're all employed. Guess what? If they weren't employed, they'd probably be kicked out. And Philippine people, well, they're angels without wings. So, you know, it's another matter. But, so there's different types of immigrants. You know, Kamala Harris's parents were PhD students, for God's sakes. There's a big difference between PhD candidates and then immigrants that come from Mexico that, you know, they come from very questionable backgrounds. You don't know what their background is, what they're escaping, whether it's drug cartels or whatever. And they do bring in drugs to the U.S., which is the last thing U.S. needs. A lot of addicts there. And Trump is a perfect example. When I think of the fact he doesn't even drink coffee, I'm just like, wow, I wish I could stop coffee. Because that's the only thing I'm addicted to besides my dog and cat and kids. But, you know, a person that doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't even drink coffee, it's a really strong personality. And Kamala Harris, well, I don't know if she has a personality. She just, you know, I don't know. If I don't know anything about her, right? I don't know anything about her background, just seeing her just makes me vomit. She's so empty-headed. Like there's not one sentence that she says that makes sense. Joe Biden at his worst appearances is better than her. They're puppets. Obama is holding the strings. Michelle and I are delighted. Michelle and I are puppet masters. And I seriously think that Obama is very loyal to his Muslim roots, although his father, I don't think his father was extremist, but he has a lot of pressure from there's Islam Nation, and he was associating with very questionable people that tell African people that the true religion is Islam, which is BS, because Islam actually were the biggest slave traders. Kamala Harris's father were the biggest slave holders in Caribbean, in Jamaica. So what are we talking about? How can these people represent people that their ancestors were enslaved? It's quite the opposite. There's nobody that's less favorable for African Americans, which is why she keeps putting them in prison for smoking a joint. Excuse me? You're from Jamaica and you put people in prison for smoking a joint? It's crazy. I personally do not like any type of drug. However, I think marijuana has a lot of medicinal purposes, and I really think that, yeah, it's horrible to put people in prison for smoking a joint, and there's so many better reasons to put them in prison, like violent behavior, like promoting drugs, heavy drugs, prostitution, human trafficking. There's so many better reasons. That's what she went after, people who smoke joint. Why? Because it's easy targets. It's easy to pick up a person. So, smoking a joint.